evidence-based, and the results are truly transformative.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm thrilled to be with all of you. First of all, in this beautiful space. It's my first. It's for my first time at the San Vicente Bungalows, which is wonderful. Some of you may know me from watching me on MSNBC, and one of the best parts of being part of the Morning Joe family is working with Mika Brzezinski and her Know Your Value platform. And that is how I got to meet Lucy Goff a month ago. It was through the work that we do through Know Your Value. She was recognized on the Forbes 50 over 50 list this year. She founded Lyma at the age of 45. But it was really the year she turned 50 that her business really kicked into high gear. Her ex-husband, then the company CEO, left the business. And Lucy began building the brand by herself. And now at the age of 51, she's at the helm of one of the fastest growing businesses in the world. And alongside Lucy is Dr. Graham Glass, a plastic surgeon and Lyma's director of aesthetics. And their laser made Time Magazine's best inventions list and named one of the fastest growing companies by the Financial Times. So I love Lyma. And I love Lucy's story. I have been using the Lyma Laser Pro for the last 2 weeks. I have found myself looking at myself in the mirror and seeing the results. So it's one of the reasons I have so many questions. Looking forward to hearing your questions also. We also have some videos and slides that we'll be showing throughout the morning. But I think the idea is for this to really be a conversation and to hear from the two experts. And why do I talk about Know Your Value? One of the reasons we talk about this platform, Mika and I, is that what we've decided and like to talk about and be in conversation about is that you can do different things in your life as women, not just in your 20s and 30s and 40s, but in your 50s, 60s, and 70s and beyond, and do different things. So Lucy, I'm going to start with you. You didn't set out to create this multi-million-dollar business. It was actually a personal life-threatening emergency that led you to found Lyma. Tell us the story.
No, well, first of all, thank you so much, everyone coming today, and thank you, Huma and Graham and everyone for being part of this. It really means so much as a British company to have got so much love in America. It's like more than we could have ever dreamt of. I think it just goes to show that out of a situation that I was in 2012, after I'd had my daughter, and I actually caught septicemia when I had as part of the birth. And I was in hospital for like weeks in intensive care while they were like battling to save my life. And actually, it was when I was at a clinic in Geneva as part of my recovery that I bumped into like one of those crazy moments. Like I bumped into a longevity professor, a guy called Professor Paul Clayton, who introduced me to some pharmaceutical grade supplement ingredients that changed my life. And that was really how we started Lyma, as an evidence-based supplement that was really engineered to tackle sleep, skin and stress as one symbiotic solution. So like, you know, if your skin doesn't look good, you're stressed. If you're not sleeping, your skin doesn't look good and you're stressed. If you're stressed, your skin doesn't look good. And actually formulating this Lyma supplement that tackled all three conditions in one, but using a different category of ingredient, like using pharmaceutical grade ingredients. And that was really still the foundation of Lyma, that we're empowering people to change. Like it's never too late, you're never too old. Every day it's a new chance to begin again. And the supplement went on to my meeting with Dr. Graham Glass, who's one of the world's most incredible reconstructive surgeons, and who discovered this technology, this cold laser technology, this huge big floor-standing 40,000 pound cold laser machine that Graham had the idea, what if we could re-engineer this huge hospital machine into a little portable device at exactly the same power with the same size of treatment lens, but something you could fit in your bag. And that's kind of the ethos in Lyma, that we bring powerful solutions to people that you can use at home to really change your sleep, skin and stress. So the Lyma system that you see here is still that same symbiotic system that has been engineered to work together to help with your sleep, your skin and your stress.
Well, Dr. Glass, can I ask you to explain how the technology works? What is the Lyma Laser Pro? Many of the women in the audience may actually have the original Lyma laser. What is the Lyma Laser Pro and what does it do for the skin?
Thank you, Huma, and thank you very much, everyone, for being here this morning. In order to answer that question, we really have to take a journey back in time over 300 years to Sir Isaac Newton, who said in 1687 that energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's simply converted from one form into another. Roll on 300 years and behind the Iron Curtain, and some researchers from Hungary realized that human cells did the most remarkable thing, that they were able to convert light energy into chemical energy. And furthermore, that conversion into chemical energy actually changed the behavior of the cell itself. Now, at the time, no one knew it. This has become the founding principle of epigenetics. And how the laser works and why it's a cold technology is that near-infrared laser light is selectively absorbed by a molecule in the mitochondria, which is the battery pack of the cell. And it accelerates the production of units of chemical energy simply by the conversion of light energy into chemical energy. And those what we call powered up cells actually start expressing genes which are associated with tissue regeneration. And they suppress genes which are associated with tissue breakdown, tissue decline, and ultimately old age. So the idea of the aging process has evolved somewhat. It's not simply the inevitable effect of getting old. It's the change in signals at a cellular level. And these signals can be changed. These signals can be manipulated.
As skin ages, cells become less active, and the rate at which the skin's building blocks are broken up accelerates. Skin loses elasticity, struggles to hold on to water, and wrinkles start to form. The Lyma laser delivers powerful cold near-infrared laser light deep into the dermis. The light is selectively absorbed by mitochondria and converted into a chemical energy which makes the cell more active and produces signals to stop the breakdown of collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid in the dermis. Signals are produced to encourage the formation of tiny blood vessels, which help to deliver more oxygen, nutrients, and immune cells to the skin. This energizes the immune cells, causing them to perform better and accelerate skin repair. Enhanced immune surveillance in the dermis leads to the zombie cells being identified and eliminated. These are replaced by healthy skin cells. Skin density increases, skin becomes smoother, and wrinkles decrease. With continued daily use, the effects accumulate.
So I think many women in this room, I would argue, are familiar with the red light technology, going in to get a facial, sitting in the red light therapy, going online and looking at these masks that deliver heat to your face. This is very different. And one of the things that we talked about earlier this morning that I found fascinating is that it's not just about causing inflammation or causing damage for the cells to then repair, or the number of times I've heard, boost your collagen. This will boost your collagen. When you use this laser device on your face, which I've experienced myself, is cold, explain that difference, because it can be confusing and overwhelming when you're looking for devices online that you can use at home that seem to almost be too good to be true. And now we're talking about this launch of a generation with the Lyma Laser Pro. And I argue it does seem too good to be true, but explain why it is. And I know we have some actual testimonials, but some before and after images that that we're going to be able to show the audience. But explain that, the benefit, Dr. Glass, if you can.
Okay, well, traditionally it was always thought that in order to induce tissue repair, you had to first inflict a tissue injury. This is the principle behind, say, high-energy lasers, for example, and microneedling and other things. This tissue injury is a controlled tissue injury, but it causes an inflammatory response. And it's the inflammatory response that brings about a tissue repair process. The problem about causing an inflammatory response is, well, severalfold. Firstly, once you cause that cycle of inflammation to happen, we were discussing this earlier on outside, you're somewhat at the mercy of your body's individual inflammatory processes in order to see where that's going to go. Different people heal in different ways, and actually the body is designed to heal quickly, but not necessarily aesthetically. There is no evolutionary adaptation for healing with nice scars or laying down the correct proportion of different types of collagen in order to make a high quality elastic tissue. The body simply wants to heal quickly. So any process, whether it be traditional high-energy lasers, radio frequency, or any of these other things that cause healing by first inducing injury, is something that carries with it a certain risk. Cold energy, on the other hand, cold laser technology, on the other hand, is a very different thing. Fundamentally, we're not causing a tissue injury. Fundamentally, what we're doing is we're causing we're changing the gene expression within the cell. We're causing gene expression within the cell by changing the energy content of the cell. And by changing gene expression, we can induce what is akin to a rejuvenatory response without the byproduct of a tissue injury to begin with. Okay, anything that causes heat, and you know everyone who's sat under an LED knows that there is some heat that's given off. Heat is a waste product of this process. The heat itself doesn't have any effect, other than people have heard about heat shock proteins and things. But amoeba have heat shock proteins, and it tells them that the swamp is getting too warm. This is a very different thing. This is fundamentally manipulating the way that the cell behaves without a tissue injury.
So, Lucy, some of the myths that have been perpetuated about what lasers can or cannot do for people, what advice do you give women as they're trying to explore the process? Talk to us. You all have lasers in your seats, but talk about the process of using the Lyma Laser Pro, the whole body of experience, what goes into it, and how quickly people can expect to see results if they do it properly.
I mean, the Lyma laser is just ridiculously easy to use. It's like all you do is you switch the laser on, so everyone can switch a laser on, and the red light that you see is not the laser. So the red light that you see is just a red LED to tell you the device is switched on, because you can't see near infrared light with your human eye, so you'd never know whether the device was switched on or not. And you just literally hold it still over each section of your skin until the laser light flashes after 3 minutes, and you move it on to the next section of your skin. So it's ridiculously easy to use. You do have to use it every day. So with everything, there's always a downside to everything. So that, you do have to use this technology every day, at least for the first 12 weeks. And after that, you just go into maintenance mode and use it a couple of times a week to maintain your results. But I think, I always remember, actually, Joanna Check is here, and before we launched the Lyma laser in America, it was actually April from Vitna's daughter who I was speaking to was telling Joanna about the Lyma laser, and Joanna said, "Well, I'm never going to use lasers, so forget it. Like I'm not interested." And then Joanna had seen the results that April had got, and she was like, "Okay, well, I'll speak to Lucy." And I think the whole point of this is to help people to be educated about this technology, because as soon as Joanna used the technology and understood it, she's been so critical in helping that education spread across America, where fundamentally it's a new technology. You use it in a different way, you have different results, and it's, it creates this natural collagen that you just can't get by using other beauty technologies. And actually, when Graham was first explaining about not all collagen is equal, I mean, I didn't know that you produce different types of collagen.
I didn't either.
And not all collagen results in good-looking skin. And this device creates the collagen in the exact formulation that you need to create youthful, plump skin. And it's also really good for like your neck. I mean, like obviously I'm 52, like my neck was the giveaway. It was like, it's the worst area of your body to be visible.
Yeah.
And actually the reason why it's good is because the light from this laser goes all the way down to the bone. So it will regenerate your skin and the muscle tissue that sits beneath it. So your skin on your neck is only as good as the muscle that sits beneath it. And if your muscle is sagging, your skin will also sag. And that's why it's so amazing for the neck and the jowls, and obviously the inner arms that you see here, areas that the skin is a lot more fragile as you age. And it's just, it is almost too good to be true. But you've got to put in the time
But the
every
key
day.
is consistency.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent. You use it regularly. And one of the new terms I learned earlier this morning as well was the skin envelope, that some people believe that you get to a certain age and then you will just have to do a larger intervention that is surgery. And that's not for everybody. It is for some people, it isn't for everybody. But this idea that if you are using this technology, that you are maintaining that skin envelope, sort of the rebirth of the collagen, the improving of the skin is something that stays with you and helps in the healing process. I wanted to talk a little bit about the safety and the effectiveness. So there's plenty of images here, there's videos, there's testimonials talking about how effective it is. It's safe to use if you are using it around your eye. Yes, Dr. Glass, I assume. The laser is safe in that manner. Safe to use if you're pregnant, safe to use if you have other conditions. One of the women earlier today was saying that she has rosacea. I have people, and my sister has eczema. We have people who have autoimmune issues that cause defects in the skin. Can you use the laser, aside from it being aesthetically improving your skin, can you use the laser on other skin conditions?
The answer to that is certainly yes. Now, obviously, the regulatory framework around what we are allowed to promote the laser for precludes us from making explicit medical claims. But the principle of it is that it is, all of these skin conditions that you have mentioned involve inflammation. They're all pro-inflammatory skin conditions to one form or another. There isn't any skin condition which is caused by anti-inflammation. And the laser is inherently anti-inflammatory in its nature. We did a study looking at gene expression of human skin samples. And what we found is that exposure to the laser upregulates some of the, what we call the anti-inflammatory signals, downregulates the pro-inflammatory signals. and therefore we might expect it to improve inflammatory skin conditions. Certainly anecdotally, it improves joint pain and it improves wound healing. Wound healing was actually the first reason that it was that photobiomodulation, that this cold laser technology was identified as being clinically useful.
If I was going to go through with having the mini facelift, which I did, the one thing that did worry me more than anything was the telltale scars that you read about. I mean, if I was going to go all out and do the surgery, then imagine if I was going to wear a ponytail or my hair pinned back, and then you can see the scarring. Like, this was probably the bigger fear, was that, than actually having the face surgery itself. And I'd seen a few people on Instagram actually having had mini facelifts that were using the laser. So the one thing that I did religiously is use the laser every night, because again, the biggest fear was having these, the scars weren't huge anyway, but just to see the reddening turn to pink, turn to basically zero, you've seen it. It's just, I still don't know how this happened.
So I've been using the Lyma laser for a while now, and now I've got the Lyma Laser Pro, and I absolutely love them because, as a lot of you know, I had surgery back in November. So I was introduced to the Lyma laser to help with the scarring in front of my ears and behind, and I have to say it's been amazing. I mean, I guess the difference for me having a laser that's portable is so much easier. It's being busy, working, having 3 children, traveling like I do. I can't always get into a clinic. And the key to healing is consistency. And so being able to shove this in my handbag and take it on flights and take it in the car with me, just whenever I've got a spare minute, I can just hold it on my scars, and it's a game changer. So I can't really tell you enough about this. And it's also great for my knees, because I go riding and afterwards my knees hurt, so I just use it on top of my knees, and it's been amazing. Unlike a lot of lasers that you get in clinics, this is completely painless. So you literally, at the beginning, you're kind of going, is it even working? Because you don't feel it at all, but it is. It's just totally pain-free.
So I know we want to get to audience questions in a minute, but there's a slide that we're showing next that I think is fascinating. We're talking a little about dispelling the myths, but also as part of this conversation, explaining the science between LED and your laser and how it works. And there's actually, they have an image, which I don't know for Diego, if we can pull that up, of the difference between traditional LED, which I think many of us are familiar with, and your technology. And if both of you, Dr. Glass and Lucy, could explain this to the audience, it's fascinating to hear about this technology and how it works.
I think just before Graham obviously explains the science, obviously with any new technology, there's a lot of education that goes with it, which is a huge opportunity for us. So there was lots of people saying, well, the Lyma laser's got no clinicals. Well, we do have clinicals, but we actually went one step further to actually compare how this technology works in skin over LED of exactly the same frequency, so exactly the same near-infrared frequency, at the same power, and looking at kind of gene expression in the dermis, which is the base layer of the skin, where the building blocks are and the change happens. So Graham can explain this.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to understand that the Lyma laser is a very different technology from LED, and I'm not disparaging LED technology here. I think it has a role to play. But I think it's also important to understand why this is different. I've heard a lot of misinformation about the differences between the Lyma laser and LED, and most of it is accidental. It's because it's actually quite difficult to understand. But in summary, the fate of light as it passes through skin is one of several things. Number one, it can reflect. Now, reflected light is not clinically active. It's lost to the environment. And that's why you see when you put an LED on the skin, you can see the red light reflected. That's the reflected light. That's not clinically active. The second thing that it can do is it can transmit. That means it can pass through the skin unchanged. Again, that's not useful for our purposes. Or it can be refracted. That means it's actually passing through the skin and it's potentially interacting with the skin. Now, refracted light can do a number of other different things. We've put it in the handout. It can be scattered. It can be diffracted, which is bends around things that it comes into contact with, or it can be absorbed. And it is the absorbed component that we are interested in because it is absorbed light which is being converted to chemical energy. Now, what happens when LED light is scattered or diffracted? Well, light bumps into each other, okay? There are many, many waves of light. They're all bumping into each other. And LED light undergoes something called destructive interference. Now, what that means is that because the waves are what we call out of phase, when they bump into each other, the energy of that wave is obliterated, it's dissipated, and it's dissipated in the form of heat. And that's another reason why you can actually feel quite hot or quite warm with LED. The reason that you don't get that with the Lyma laser is because that scattered light or diffracted light is, when it bounces into other light waves, it undergoes something called constructive interference. Because the waves are in phase, the energy of each is added to the whole. And this allows the wave to travel through deeper areas of skin while retaining enough energy to be able to, when it finally is absorbed, cause this process called photobiomodulation. So that's why it's a very different thing from an LED. And again, I'm not disparaging LED. I think it has a role to play, but it has a role to play very superficially because the energy density drops off rapidly with a passage through the skin, which is not the case with the Lyma laser.
So Lucy, what do you say to women when they come to you and say, I'm trying to decide, do I have surgery? Do I just do Lyma Laser Pro? Do I try things like Morpheus? There's a whole host of options today. How do you help guide women who come to you and say, I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed, I have a budget, this is not an inexpensive undertaking. What do you tell them?
I mean, the Lyma laser is not cheap. It's obviously the Lyma laser is $2,500, and this Lyma Laser Pro is $6,000.
And you can pay in installments.
You can pay in installments, yes. But I think fundamentally, you know, you either invest in your skin or you don't. And unfortunately, investing in your skin at the couple of $100 mark with maybe like an at-home non-fracture laser is not going to provide you with the type of collagen that this will provide you with. You know, whether you're going to get a facelift or not in your 50s or your 60s or whatever age, you know, Graham has always said, you can do an incredible, you can have an incredible, the world's best surgeon, you know, doing a deep plane facelift, but, you know, your skin is the part that everybody, you know, dermatologists, everybody can do a better result if your skin is in a better condition. So, you know, if you want to have the best skin that the current technology parameters have got available, then there's nothing in the league at the moment of the Lyma laser. So obviously that's just comparing it to at-home non-fracture lasers, at-home LED masks, at-home radio frequency. But, you know, I think people, in terms of a clinic, I think people go into a clinic for many different reasons. People go into a clinic for entertainment, for the theatre of enjoying the actual experience. You know, they're different. Everybody goes to a clinic for a different reason. But if you wanted to create the best skin that you can at home, then at the moment there's nothing on the level of the Lyma Laser or the Lyma Laser Pro.
I'd love to open it up to questions from the audience. Yes.
Maybe this is a silly question, but how is it different from the original other than size?
So both the Lyma Laser has got a treatment lens of 8 centimetre square. So it's great for preventative aging. So if you're younger and you are using it to prevent or to slow down the aging process, or you're just dealing with a small scar, or maybe you've got an area of pigmentation or rosacea that you want to get rid of. So that's best suited for that. What the feedback that we were getting was to transform larger areas on your face and your body without it taking a super long time, then we had to find a way of re-engineering this technology with a bigger treatment lens. So ultimately, they are both exactly the same technology. If you hold each laser over your skin for 3 minutes, they will produce exactly the same dosage of laser light. But the treatment lens on the Lyma Laser Pro is bigger, so you can transform larger areas of the skin on your face and body faster. So it just means like for your bigger areas on your inner arm or your neck and your jowls, you're able to transform the skin on them quicker.
The reason it's not just a simple case of increasing the exposure lens is because of the energy dose involved. So everything has to be increased if you want to create this, if you want the same energy dose, but over a larger area. So that's why it had to be completely re-engineered to be able to make that happen.
So there's 3 Lyma lasers inside this Lyma Laser Pro. So there's 3 Lyma lasers inside the device, so it's 3 times as powerful.
Is a mask or something larger on the horizon? Is that something that you're looking for?
At the moment, the amount of power that you would have to put into a home, the amount of laser power that you'd have to put into somebody's home to make this bigger is not going to be compliant by the FDA. I mean, you would be putting way too much laser power into a non-professional setting. So for people that want to cover even more areas quicker, then we've found that they're buying 2 Laser Pros, and then you can do your entire face and neck in 15 minutes. So, but at the moment, you would never get it past the FDA.
Yes. Yes.
Can you reach it anywhere on the body, or is there anywhere that you should use it?
Yeah.
There's nowhere theoretically that you shouldn't use it, or you can't use it. It's safe everywhere.
I just have a statement, not a question. A little bit answer to your question between the original smaller laser, right, and larger laser. It's easier to use in tiny little areas like eyelids, because this is the laser that you can use over your eyes, because temperature is eliminated to 0.0 on a Celsius, right, around 32 Fahrenheit, so it does not hurt your eyes. Very often my clients after surgery they were preparing for surgery with Lyma laser and then healing after the surgery. So it's easier to get to those tiny areas, and also younger person with rosacea or little scar and so on, that maybe not everybody would spend then $6,000, but it would be easier just $2,000. That's also a good moment to use that probably smaller laser. And one more statement, that any inflammation, so talking about eczema, talking about cuts, talking about things that they were not healing, the biggest and the quickest results I had with rosacea with all the dehydrated patches and everybody with perioral dermatitis, ocular dermatitis. I think half of the world is suffering from it now. It's almost just, it's been very successful. So that's all.
Thank you, Joanna.
I'm in love. So I wouldn't be here.
Well, that's an excellent testimonial. Is there anybody else? Yes.
I have a question about, you were talking about the neck area. So I have hypothyroid and Hashimoto's disease. I also have very severe melasma. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but, and you and I were speaking about the melasma component, but you were saying something about how deeply this laser penetrates, right? So if you're using it on your neck, would it have any effect on the thyroid gland?
If you've got an overactive thyroid, so the only condition is overactive, so not underactive and not a normal. If you've got an overactive thyroid, you shouldn't place it directly over your thyroid, but you can place it on either end of it, yeah.
Okay, because that's interesting. You were saying it reduces inflammation, so theoretically it could improve the thyroid gland. If you have, if
Only if it's
autoimmune
underactive.
is being caused by inflammation, but I guess that would be more a supplement thing than a topical.
Yes, if it was, if you were hypothyroid by virtue of an autoimmune condition, so if your immune system was attacking your thyroid gland, then anything that's anti-inflammatory might theoretically improve it. But that would, it would have to be taken within the, under clinical supervision.
Yeah.
And I have a question that's very often asked by patients. Any contraindications regarding pregnancy or if anybody has pacemaker or metal plates in the brain post-surgery? I assume not, but they ask those questions.
If you've got, if you're pregnant, obviously you shouldn't use it over the baby, but you can use it anywhere else.
It's concentrated on the areas where you're treating.
Yeah, you can use it on other areas. I mean, one of the laser professors that engineered this works in a hospital, and they have no contraindications for any metal that's inside the body, but Graham can.
No, so there are, there's no contraindication to using the Lyma laser if you have a piece of metal work inside. That's when you get electromagnetic vibration of the metalwork. It produces heat, and that's why you can't go into an MRI machine, for example, if you have an implant of a metallic kind. But there's no reason not to use it with the laser. It doesn't cause it doesn't create electromagnetic vibration.
There's only one contraindication actually. If you've got a fungal infection on your skin, you should never put any form of light therapy on it. That's the only.
Wow.
One more statement.
Go on.
Sorry, I can shut up.
Don't shut up.
It was used on the babies and the little children, post-burn, post-scratch, post-cut, and the moms were very happy with that. So.
I was telling them this morning, I fell off my new elliptical. I was trying a new elliptical the other day, and I've been using it. So I've been using it while I'm reading at night or while I'm watching my Netflix. And so I used it on my cut and already feel a little improved. I was told we had to wrap up, but I will say I have been using this for 2 weeks, and I've already seen results on my skin. And as somebody who has gone through I'm turning 50 this summer, and as somebody who has gone through all the different phases of should I do this or should I not do that, and tend to not be pro doing anything too invasive, it has been really an incredible addition to my life. And so I'm so happy to be on stage with the two of you. Thank you all for your questions. But it's truly a revolutionary thing that you have invented, and thank you for bringing it to the world, and good luck with this launch. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Huma.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone, for coming.